Lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Stott, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara, Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber bomb, ¡campanazo! Aquí viene el lanzamiento, swing y lo ponchó. Ponche de Alvarado, amigos.
Hello, and welcome to Phillies Weekly. Here is Team Kelly. Team Kelly, I think he took the commands here today, and that's why he's coming out first there. Tim, welcome to Phillies Weekly. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I can try and play Jeff's role, but I can't bowl as well as Jeff can.
Oh, that's true. We cannot bowl like Jeff does. He's a great bowler. He'll join us momentarily. He's arriving from the stadium. I mean, a very meaningful day today. It's been fast paced. I mean, since the Phillies started the second half of the year with some news of new signings today. Harper getting hot and looking like the MVP on Friday and Saturday. Schwarber continuing to do his magic. I mean, Schwarber's special, man. It's what a player, man. What a player. And what else? Everything, I mean, in the world of sports. So how you doing, Tim? How's it going? How was your break?
It wasn't that much of a break because the MLB draft goes on during that time now. So,
sure.
But you're right. It's been super fast-paced this weekend. Obviously, you had all the All-Star game announcements Friday. Kyle Schwarber, like you said, just unbelievable. The first swing of the second half is a home run. Last night, he hits a grand slam. That's about as loud as I remember hearing a crowd get at Citizens Bank Park, like during a regular season game. And I talked to Tom McCarthy today, and he said part of it is because of how quiet it was prior to that. But he agreed that it was like one of the louder eruptions he's heard from the fans on a home run during the regular season. So he was amazing. Like you said, Bryce Harper looked great. Today was a wash. Ranger Suarez didn't pitch well. It just felt like a loss from the beginning. Losing 2 of 3 is not good. But Sundays have become crazy because 5 minutes after I leave the stadium, word breaks that the Phillies have signed David Robertson. So, it always works out that way.
This is insane. I mean, look, they were talking to David Robertson 2 months ago, and the guy didn't sign. I thought he was like, he's done, his history. Well, the guy decided that he wanted to come back and have some fun. So, I mean, this is incredible. So this is the top news of the week. First of all, I mean, the way Schwarber stole the show in Atlanta was something very, very special. I love the way he did it. The second thing, I mean, looking at, this is a big injury, Tim. I mean, losing Alec Baum, which is kind of your fourth hitter, a guy that continuously, it's an important presence in the middle of the lineup. It is worrisome because what would you expect that between Mundito and Kemp that hit the home run today, are they going to be able to replace him? I mean, those are big question marks, in my opinion, that they need to be answered, and it's not going to be easy.
Well, no, it's not. And as much as I've kind of made the case that if you can upgrade at third base, do it. Like Suarez would be an upgrade over Bohm, clearly. But Alec Bohm is still a big piece to lose, especially in a lineup that doesn't have a ton of right-handed hitters. And really the biggest issue to me is I don't even know that you can commit Sosa there because you need Sosa at second base with how poorly Bryson Stott's played recently. So you're in a tough situation to me. Otto Kemp has looked not good at third base when he's played there. He looks much better, even though third base is kind of the position that's his quote-unquote natural position. He's looked better at first base and in left field to me, and I wonder if this ends up being more Weston Wilson plays at third base. Now, it sounds like they're going to give Otto Kemp some run at third base. I see enough concerning things defensively. I wonder if they go back to Kemp primarily plays in left field with Max Kepler, and maybe you see some combination of Sosa, Weston, Wilson. The options aren't great right now, and it really shines a light on how poorly Bryson Stott has played, because you could survive this if Stott was playing well and you just had Sosa play almost every day at third base. But to be without Bohm for what I would imagine is at least a month, it puts you in a really tough situation.
Look, from my standpoint, this is a beautiful opportunity for Weston Wilson and for Kemp to show what they got. And hey, put him out there. I mean, we saw Kemp, his efficiencies today on defense. I mean, a couple of plays that he should have made, he weren't able to make them. And look, today, as you said, it was a wash. I mean, Ranger was coming back and he looked off. And when if Ranger does not have his ability to locate pitches, you're not going to have a good game out of him. And look what he has done over the last, 2 months. So I think what we should put this one on the side, and then let's come back and look at Rangers starting in the next appearance. He's going to pitch much better than the way he pitched today. So I expect a lot more from him moving forward. But look, David Robertson, let's talk a little bit about him coming in back to the Phillies. I mean, if you look at his record, lifetime 66 and 46, 291 ERA, a tremendous ERA, 177 saves. Last year he was 3-4 with a 3 ERA with 2 saves. They had Yates last year in Texas, which he was amazing.
Yeah,
and he was more kind of the setup guy. I hope that this is just one move in a domino move that needs to happen in the bullpen to be able to take it to the next level. And it's interesting that 2 months ago he was called and he did not. He did not accept the assignment. So
well, he pitched really well for the Rangers last year. There were reports coming into the season, or I think it was from Bob Nightingale of USA Today, that he was looking for $15 million, which was too much. He's 40 years old. His son was always with him the last time he was with the Phillies. So I imagine he was at the point of his life where he's like, if I'm going to leave my family and do this, I'm going to do it on my terms. He didn't get his terms, so now he waited out. And I actually think it could benefit him, because one of the issues with signing older relievers is that they tend to run out of gas in September and October. When the Phillies got Robertson back in 2022, he pitched really well during the regular season for the most part and kind of ran out of gas during the playoffs. Maybe you can avoid that now, because you're only having him come in and pitch from July until whenever, presumably in October, your season ends. So it reminds me a little bit of when the Phillies signed Pedro Martinez in 2009. You're bringing in a guy who's had, obviously David Robertson is not Pedro Martinez, but you're bringing in a guy a long, accomplished career, really one of the better relievers of the last 20 years. You're bringing him in to supplement your bullpen. You brought Pedro Martinez in to supplement your starting rotation. Now, I don't know exactly when he's going to be ready to go. We'll see what ultimately happens in terms of who they trade for. What I would say is I would be floored if this is the move in the bullpen. So I think there will be a bigger move, and that will kind of carry the load. You also have Jose Alvarado will come back on August 19th. Won't be eligible for the playoffs, but you'll have him for the rest of the regular season. And then you also have the possibility of shifting somebody from the starting rotation into the bullpen in the postseason. So Robertson is a good start, certainly cannot be the finish, but I like this signing. I know he's 40 years old. It carries risk without a doubt, but he was still good last year, so I don't have any reason to believe he can't come in and be at least more effective than some of the guys he's going to be replacing.
Yeah. Without a doubt, I think we know that he definitely is going to be better than a lot of the moves. He's proven it. He has not been injured, over the last few years, so he'll be fine. He'll be fine. When you were talking about him, it reminded me of seeing him being there in Houston for Game 1 of the World Series. And just with, I don't know if it was the bases loaded or men on first and third, and he was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna."
Well, and he hit the guy. He leaned in on the pitch, and the umpire actually called it. If not, I believe that would have been a walk-off win for the Astros. Instead, the game goes on. He got out of that, and like I said, Game 6 or Game 5 of the NLCS that year, Ranger had to come in for him. Game 1 of the World Series, he barely held on. He was out of gas at the end of that year, and it was partially because it was the first year, full season he had pitched in like 4 years because he had Tommy John basically knocked him out 2 seasons, and then he came back for half of one in 2021, I believe, with the, or maybe it's 2022, one of them. It was 2021. He came back for half of it with the Rays. So that was really his first full season back, and he was older. So I think there's some wisdom in him pitching only half a year because maybe it allows him to hold up.
I mean, I hope, and maybe he might have been asking for too much money in the beginning, as you said, and
the Phillies also weren't as desperate. I mean, people have asked me, is this a desperation move? I don't think it's a desperation move in the sense that it doesn't make sense to sign David Robertson, but you're in a position right now where you needed multiple relievers. And if you don't want to gut your entire farm system, even if you make the wildest trade possible, let's say you land Emmanuel Clase, that's going to take a lot of prospects, and that alone is not enough. So you sign one guy where you don't have to give up prospects, you hope for the best with him, and then you supplement that by trading.
Look who is arriving from the stadium there, huh? Coming in and just diving in. You dive in like Robertson, or what's going on here? Or you have to stay extra time there at the stadium. Jeff is dangerous, man. When he gets into that clubhouse, he's a dangerous guy.
I'm not getting prorated $12 million now, and I don't think the Phillies have to go over the 4th luxury tax barrier to pay my salary.
To pay your salary? How's the fastball?
You know what? If it was as good as the Scoop DeVille cookie dough ice cream, I'm sure I'd be pitching for him.
Are they advertising on this show now?
Yeah, I'm doing free advertising for him.
Hey, it's great to have you here, Jeff, as well. Look, we just talked kind of the top news of the day, which is Schwarber stealing the show, the injury for Alec Baumann, the implications of that, and the opportunity that both Weston Wilson and Kemp are going to have to show what they're capable of doing. One thing that I'll ask you guys, why isn't the team playing more Kemp in left field? I mean, the way Kepler is playing, I mean, he's playing so bad. I mean, just sit him down a couple games, 2 or 3 games. I mean, if he's going to remain in the team, and just give Kemp an opportunity to play every day out there.
Well, I don't think after the trade deadline, Max Kepler is going to be here, if I had to make that guess.
Sure.
The thing about Otto Kemp, now you need him at third base, so that kind of throws a wrench into that. Although I will say, I think Weston Wilson is a much better hitter than he showed earlier this year, and now he'll get the chance.
A better fielder at third base. He's an infielder.
Yeah, so maybe I think it makes more sense to have Weston Wilson play third base and Otto Kemp play left field. But
I agree.
The question, I don't think Max Kepler is going to be here much longer, if I had to make a guess. And Kemp has played well, but not amazing. So I get trying to do a platoon there to a degree. It's not working. It's clear Max Kepler is kind of in his head right now, and the signing hasn't worked out.
And remember what happened with Mundito last time when he replaced Trey Turner last year. I mean, he carried. I mean, he was huge. He was huge. So maybe giving him an opportunity. I mean, I think between the 3 of them, they should take a larger load, and they need to take a larger load, but they should be given an opportunity and see what they got. I mean, I would love to see. I mean, how much? I mean, you know what? I did not check the latest numbers on Wilson in the minors. How was he doing at AAA over the last month or so? You guys know?
I know his power's been up. I haven't looked at his overall numbers, but I'm glad you mentioned Mundo Sosa, Oscar, because I like to see him get more reps at second base if Bryson Stott continues to struggle.
Well, and that's what we said. That's the problem. That's normally like a year ago, 2 years ago, certainly you would have just said, all right, Bohm's out, plug Sosa in for a month at third base, even though third base isn't his best defensive position. He's fine there. The problem is Bryson Stott is unplayable, certainly against lefties and maybe even against righties right now. You need Sosa at least half the time at second base, so he can't play third base every day. So it's a real issue. Like, the Phillies are in such a weird spot because they're in first place. They have the starting rotation that solely because of that, they're a World Series contender. And then you have Schwarber and Harper, who are two of the best players in baseball. Certainly when Harper's healthy, he is. But you have a lot of question marks on this team outside of that. And there's a lot of work to be done. David Robertson's a start, but there's a lot more to be done. And some of these other guys, like you can't upgrade every position. Some of them you're going to need guys that you already have to be better.
Yeah, Weston Wilson 770 OPS in Lehigh Valley. So
yeah,
250,
Rob
250
Thompson,
average, three home runs. I mean, nothing like you would say earth-shattering. So
Rob Thompson said yesterday, because I asked him once Bohm was hurt and it was kind of clear what direction that was heading. I said, what reports have you gotten on Wilson? And he said he got off to a little bit of a slower start, but then got going, which I think is not uncommon when you get sent to AAA, that it takes you a little while to lock back in. So I think he's definitely somebody that's eager to prove that how the season went early on wasn't. And this is kind of what he had last year. Like he got off to a really slow start. And then in the second half of last season, he was excellent. So certainly whether it's third base, left field, second base, even like it would be huge if he's able to step up.
Yeah. Let's go over some of the things here. I think you'll find interesting. For the second week in a row, and remember, I made some adjustments to the San Francisco and San Diego in week 16. That 2.0 was like 416 because of the 13 runs. So there was kind of an outlier there with the 13-0 win that we had in San Fran. So that took it all to 4. So if you take that game, it's 2.0. But it was interesting this week. I mean, we have 5.33 runs per game. I mean, week 17 here, we went 1 and 2. We have 5.33 runs per game, but then look what happened to our starting pitching. I mean, primarily starting pitching more than the bullpen. I mean, for the third time this year, we had an ERA of 6 or above 6. And again, it's a small sample, 3 games, but look, it wasn't a great showing. Let's just put it that way.
Well, it was 3 games, but you didn't have your 2 best pitchers pitch. So I don't think that's
how about we have one of the 3 best pitchers?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if that's a hot take. I think Christopher Sanchez is unquestionably the number 2 starter.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But,
I agree 100% with that.
Taijuan Walker is a 5 starter. Ranger Suarez obviously did not have his best stuff today. So, yeah, I mean, and it wasn't a full week because of the All-Star break. So the pitching needs to be better, but at least starting pitching-wise, I don't really have any concerns that it won't.
Tim, did it shock you when Rob told us today that Taijuan Walker was going to get another start?
No, I expected Taijuan Walker to get another start. I mean, at this point, if Mick Abel is dominating at AAA, I think there has to be a temptation to just let him dominate for a couple more weeks, see if he's someone you trade. And if not, you can bring him back up again if you still need him at that time. But having him down there dominating as opposed to maybe he comes back up and struggles, I think you're better off.
Yeah, and he's got like 2 more starts down there. I mean, before the deadline. So yeah, I don't disagree with you on that.
I agree. I mean, that guy, his value is at an all-time high right now. Probably was the highest when he had that great game against
after
Pittsburgh.
Paul Skeens.
Yeah. Against Paul Skeens. I mean, to me, and you were not here last week, Tim, but I mentioned that to me was one of the biggest surprises of the year. I mean, that guy coming in from the minors for his first start ever and beating Paul Skeens. I mean, that was special, man. That was one of the gutsiest performances that I've seen in front of his whole family. I mean, look, those
on
are the ones I remember.
On the day Alvarado got suspended too, it was just an insane, one of the most insane days. That day was crazier. I've covered World Series games that weren't as crazy as that day.
It was insane. So let's go quickly. Let's look at kind of our numbers. Kind of here's where the Phils are right now: 56 and 43. We're 4 and 6 over the last 10 games, 9 and 11 over the last 20, and then 16 and 14 over the last 30. I think most important thing here on their 5 teams above 500, we're 25 and 27. We lost our 11th series of the year. If you look at weeks in the previous slide, we've had 17 weeks. We won 10 of those, and we've lost 7 of those. And 3 of those weeks, we had an ERA above 6. So it's something to keep an eye on. I mean, starting pitching is the key for us, as we all know. We're 6-8 in July now. If you look at the numbers here, we continue to have to. We lost a game on the one run. We were 16-12. Now we're 16-13. And then we won against Kikuchi yesterday, so we're now 12-16 against left-handed pitching, and we're plus 60 on the different numbers. So walk through a few of the slides. I changed the hitting slide to show a little bit more than a historical trend because it's by week. Now I want to show kind of where we are, and it's interesting, right? So we're 11th in runs, we're 10th in OPS. Look at this. We're 8th in on base percentage with runners in scoring position. Look at Jeff laughing. I love that laugh with Jeff.
I'm just saying, like, they're bad with the bases loaded, but runners in scoring position. Well, although this month they're not very good.
Well, and
look,
I would say
look at
one
this.
of the reasons they're that high is like Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber will get up and they'll walk with like runners on base because teams will pitch around them. So the on base percentage goes up. But then if guys afterwards don't come through, you didn't score any runs.
But look at we're 21 in percentage of extra base hits. So the famous slugging line, I mean, we saw, again, the Friday and Saturday, my hat goes off to both Schwarber and Harper. What they did, it was special. I mean, it was really special. I actually sent even a tweet saying MVP Bryce Harper is back. I mean, he looked, and he even said it in the post game that you guys recorded it. I was not there this weekend. I took a family vacation, and how about that? I'm here with you guys. Take a look at this.
La Familia.
La Familia. So basically, I mean, I was not there, but I heard what he said. I mean, what you posted and on Patterson, and I mean, without a doubt, I mean, Harper looks like the real thing. I mean, and we need that guy badly. And these numbers between doubles, triples, and home runs are going to go significantly up once Bryce Harper starts hitting the way he's capable of hitting.
Yeah, I think that's true. I also, though, I get the bullpen is unquestionably the biggest need, even after signing Robertson. But I look at this team and I say, you have two guys in Harper and Schwarber that will hit home runs. Well, whatever you thought of the Phillies in 2022 or 2023, I agree they were probably too reliant on the home runs. But this is not that team. And I see some people still evaluating it like it's that team. It's a completely different team because you have two guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark consistently. They need somebody else that can drive the ball, even if it's doubles, somebody else that can drive the ball, preferably right-handed. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's a real hole. And Oscar, you and I were talking about this last night. You see these great nights. If Kyle Schwarber hits 2 home runs every game, they're going to be great. Or grand slam, or Bryce Harper has a huge game. But you need somebody else on the nights where they're not hitting. And Trey Turner's had a good season, but isn't hitting for power as much. Nick Castellanos hasn't done what they need out of him. They need somebody else that is going to hit for power.
And you'll see that in the next couple of slides that I kind of put together. But to me, this whole yellows between doubles, triples, and home runs, it doesn't always have to be home runs. That's why I put this slide to see where we were in doubles, and we're 14. So we're not hitting to the pace that this team is supposed to hit. And the way they were getting, I mean, we got, how many guys are making more than $20 million in this lineup? I mean,
how many guys are 32 and over in this lineup?
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of it comes down to Nick Castellanos. Like, you're paying $20 million, and he's not performing at that level.
And the development of Alec Bohm and the development of Stott. I mean, those two guys, I mean, Stott should be hitting, I mean, should be in double digits in doubles right now.
Brandon Marsh has gotten better, but he's hit 3 home runs this season. Like, it's not a power. I think there was a thought a few years ago, maybe 1 or 2 of Stott, Marsh, and Bohm become like core pieces. They're all major leaguers, but none of them has developed into like a core, one of the 3 or 4 best players on the team type guy.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's look at a few more things. You'll find this very, very interesting. This is our OPS, first of all, by position, and our OPS by at-bats. So by position, the 3 core guys that are significantly or above the average of OPS in Major League Baseball, it's around 730, 725, 730. So you see the DH position was Schwarber, Harper, and Turner. And then you see Castellanos kind of being, I would say, slightly above average. And then everybody else, second base, catcher, third base, left field, center field, all way below the OPS for the season. This to me basically says this team needs one or two more bats to truly, or two guys in the second half that are in that team that are going to be taking this to the next level for us to be successful. And the same thing, you look at it here in the order. The second and third hitter, with all the base on balls they're getting, and which we saw in the first half of the season. I mean, look, this is the only production. I mean, 2 and 3 hole are the only ones that are producing above, you could say, above the average of OPS in baseball. I mean, this lineup, that's why we get so frustrated about this team not producing and getting into those lopsided wins and losses that we're seeing all year. I mean, we need more consistency, and it starts with the batting order and the development of some of the players. So hopefully some of these guys, at least a couple of them, get hot. I mean, I got to give it to JT. I mean, JT in the last 3 weeks prior to the All-Star game, I mean, he was hitting significantly much better than he was the entire year.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe one of the guys can be Justin Crawford comes up. You can only put so much expectations. As much as he's hitting at AAA, like if he comes up and he hits 8th or 9th for you, I think that's fine. He's not a home run hitter though, and you need somebody that is going to be hitting doubles, triples, home runs, that type of thing. So you can bring Crawford up. Maybe you improve in center. You shift Marsh to left field, which is his better position. But to me, you still need another major move offensively. And the trade market is bad, and the Phillies have an even more pressing need at the back of the bullpen. I'm not so sure they're going to make the upgrade in the lineup that they need to make to win a World Series.
It kind of comes back to what Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber that everybody said, we just got to start hitting. I mean, Otto Kemp said today, we got to start hitting 4 through 9. They have to get production there. I wrote today, like outside of Kemp, everybody else 4 through 9 went 2 of 20. It's not going to get it done.
We got a new addition in the house. Jeff, you want to introduce Sam? Sam, welcome.
Hi,
Sam, you want to introduce yourself? You're the man.
You're the man. You're the man. You know what? This is, sir. Give me a second. Just give me 1 second. There. Let me see. There we go. Look at this. Look at this.
Brady Bunch.
So I guess I'll introduce myself. Hi everyone. I'm Sam. Sam Jellinek. I'm the broadcaster for Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. So I've been seeing obviously a lot of the guys who have come through over the past couple of years up to the major league level, and hopefully I can provide a little bit of insight to what everything's been happening.
We were expecting at a minimum all the solution to all our problems. Right?
Isn't everybody right? Ever since Otto Kemp went up back at the beginning of June, the Iron Pigs have not been the same. So I'm glad that he's been providing some sort of positive effect up for the Phillies, because it tore our hearts out.
It'll be interesting. Let's be, and I want you to be, Sam, as realistic as you can be. Justin Crawford. I know he's been. There's a couple of things that we see in Austin Crawford. The stats are really, really good. I mean, in average, OPS, and on base. I love the on base percentage at the 400 part. Talk to us what you've seen so far out of him, and can this guy be a huge difference maker versus the Brandon March and the Rojas that you've seen right now playing center field for the Phils?
Yeah, no, I think that's obviously the question that's on everybody's mind here over the next week and a half, as to whether or not, is he the answer as far as, inserting him into the lineup, or is he the answer as far as keying some sort of package to get back a bat via trade? I think if you're talking about putting him into a major league lineup right now, I think he's ready. I think that what he's done at the AAA level, especially over as long of a time that it's been this entire season, that he'll find success at the major league level. Will it be a difference-making success? That's where, I'll draw the line and say at this juncture, probably not. If you want him to hit 8th, hit 9th, get on base at a 340, 350 clip and hit 270, I think that's realistic. I think the power, it's not going to be anything more than what Rojas provides you. But Justin, what I think has been most impressive to me is his command of the strike zone was probably what has shocked me the most, in that he has just supreme command of what pitches he can and can't hit. how to work deep counts, how to draw walks. Because, that's the thing everybody says about speedsters. I remember when Billy Hamilton was coming up, why can't he just draw more walks? He can always steal second, turn a walk into a double. Crawford's done that more times than I can count this season. And then you add on the fact that with his kind of bat control, he'll spray balls inside the bag at third. And I think for at least this year, you would be more than happy with the idea of, him just beating the ball into the ground and seeing whether or not he can, leg out some hits, and then worry about, okay, if you want him to become, the true 4, 5, 6 win player that I think is in there, then you worry about lifting the ball after that. But for this year right now, just tell him, hey, keep on doing your thing. And at the major league level, I think that for the time being, given where the Phillies are trying to look to improve, it could be an improvement.
Sam,
where's the ground ball? Just one question,
Mm-hmm.
one last question, and I'll let you guys answer. The ground ball dynamic. I mean, I saw him, for example, I was watching the Painter game, not this one, but the previous one. I think it was like a Monday night or something I was watching that game, and he was hitting grounders. I mean, talk to us about the whole dynamic with grounders.
Yeah, so that's obviously the huge thing that has been Crawford's kind of calling card and what's been in his scouting report ever since he was, in high school, and that's that his ground ball rate is obscenely high. I think right now it's around like 60-ish%, which is like second highest in the minors, and if you were to put it at the major league level, is top 5 as well. And if you line up the other guys who have ground ball rates like that, they're not the most sterling profiles of hitters that you want to be in company with. For Justin, it works at the AAA level because defensively, the infielders here, they just don't have the ability to throw out a guy with his speed. And he is, be it Baltimore chops, be it balls in the 5.5 hole, he can just leg it out. And whether or not that carries over to the major league level, I think is a real serious concern. And I know that they're trying to improve it, but they're also trying to balance the fact that for the moment he's having success with it. And if you want to plug him immediately into the majors, you need a guy who's having success. So it's a very fine line that they're trying to walk, and you're kind of on a knife's edge trying to decide which way you want to fall. And for the moment, I was talking with our manager, Anthony Contreras, about it earlier today, and he said basically Justin comes from a pedigree of a major league all-star father and has had success everywhere that he's been. And to a certain extent, you trust him to do what he needs to do. And until whatever the results are, show to him that, hey, I got to change what I've got to change, Justin's going to keep on leaning into what makes him successful. And I think for the time being, that's going to be the ground ball rate's going to be what it is. And, odds are, when he gets up to the majors, there's going to be a point where it's going to be too much. But for now, I think the Phils say you got to run with it.
Sam, I have a question for you about Andrew Painter. And, we keep hearing from Rob Thompson, and, you're watching the games, I'm watching the games. Is command the major issue? Because it seems like his velocity's there, he has the confidence, but it just seems like his command seems to be a little off from start to start.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's probably the main thing, command over control, where it's not that the walks are at an obscenely high level. It's more that his misses are just pretty bad. That showed up as far as the home run rate. Past couple of starts, before his last outing, I think it was 5 homers in his past 2 starts. So that's really what surprised me is the level of hard contact at times that will sometimes just kind of cluster within one start, where it's one turn through the order where 4 out of the 9 hitters, not just base hits, but really hard hit baseballs. And you wouldn't expect that with the level of stuff that he has. And at times, I think it falls into some long at-bats, some innings that grind on. For a guy who hasn't pitched in 2 years and is also used to being really, really good, sometimes he's just trying to force his way out of situations instead of truly trying to pitch out of them. Because not only is he's probably a little impatient because, this is 2 years in the making, but also given the timeline that was placed on him, the start the start that's upcoming this next week on Thursday, I'm sure everybody was hoping that was going to be his major league debut instead. And I think that, for Andrew, he wants to have success, and when it's not coming immediately, he's so talented that in the past he can sometimes just force the issue and be okay with that. But against AAA hitters, coming up against it, he's finally kind of met his match just a little bit. I think he'll work through it by the time this season's all said and done. This, like you said, I would be way more concerned right now if his stuff was not what it is. Coming off of Tommy John, his stuff looks exactly the same as it did pre-Tommy John. It's now just more about the finer details of execution, a little bit of pitch sequencing. So overall, I'm not concerned. Does it kind of suck given the timeline that the Phillies placed on him that mid-July-ish was hoping to be his debut? Yes.
So what have
it's
you
a mistake. I think it's a mistake if you need to bring that guy up. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was going to say, building off of that, the two guys that are most associated together are Painter and Abel.
Mm-hmm.
Abel ran into kind of a speed bump here, but what does he look like? Obviously, statistically, he's been excellent since returning, but what is up close? What does that look like?
Yeah, so Mick's start last night, 6 more shutout innings. He's gone 12 consecutive scoreless for us since he got options. I think last night was probably the best I've ever seen him. The strikeout numbers weren't, too heady, but it was more control of the game, that he had a plan, he was executing his plan, and he also knew, believed, and then went out and did it, that he was better than the lineup that was set out against him. And it was a half-decent Rochester lineup. Having that kind of confidence, given where he was a year ago, is absolutely nuts, that he's been able to make that kind of turnaround. I think that that's something that's super telling to me, is that coming off the option, he didn't come down here and put pressure on himself to say, I need to be better than AAA hitters to show that I should be back up the majors. Instead, for him, it's, no, I know that I'm still better than these AAA hitters. Let me just go and show that I can do it, refine some things, and I'll be back up in the majors eventually here. I was a little surprised that Taiwan's getting another turn instead of Mick. I kind of thought that the way everything happened yesterday, that Mick kind of put himself in line to be recalled. Just one more start absolutely kill you? No, not in the least. But I've been super impressed with the way Mick has handled this. Just coming into the year, that he's now, since mid-April, he hasn't allowed more than 1 run in a start for the Iron Pigs. And that's
the other guy I wanted to get your thoughts on was Weston Wilson, because I think all of us here believe he's a better player than he showed in his first stint with the Phillies this year. And if I remember, you'd probably know this better. Like, he got off to a slower start last year and then really got hot. So what do you kind of expect from him moving forward?
Yeah, Weston getting the chance again. He was, obviously they'd sent him down to get everyday playing time, to get his timing back. And I think pretty quickly, more, quicker than I think a lot of people anticipated, he got his timing back, honestly, in a hurry. By the time he was done with us, hitting around 290. And what you look for most with him when he's going well, it's his ability it's not exactly not chasing, but it's more pitches within the strike zone that he can't do damage on and laying off of those, especially pitches up in the zone. Fastballs to the top of the zone, he's not going to do damage with those. It's going to be breaking balls and fastballs down in the zone that he can get to. And with us, when he was going well over the past couple of weeks, he was doing a really good job commanding the zone and looking like the guy who, prior to his ultimate call-up, the middle of June, middle of July last year, he was looking like that guy again. And I think importantly, he was also bouncing around the diamond a good deal, playing a little bit of third, playing a little bit of left, which now, given Bohm's injury, is going to be pretty important.
Sam, one of the questions I have, and this kind of pertains to Justin Crawford too. Otto Kemp, he's kind of, I don't want to say struggling to hit a fastball, but it's significantly different in the majors than in AAA. Can you explain to everyone just how much of a difference that is?
Yeah, I remember I asked one of my first years that I was working in affiliated baseball, the manager, hey, why don't I see guys throwing like 97, 98 down here? He said, well, that's because they're all in the majors. If you're throwing 97, 98, you're going to be in the show. So that's the big difference, is you will come across probably 1 or 2 starters a week. So like last night, Iron Pigs faced Cade Cavalli, first-round pick for the Nationals back in 2020. He was popping 97, 98, 99. But obviously for Cavalli, he's coming off of injury, and there's reasons why he's down at AAA. So even if you are going to face premium velo, there's always a reason why a guy is down at AAA. So, that velo might come with the cost of he doesn't have a breaking ball or he can't control it. So most of the time, the velo that we're seeing is going to be 92 to 95, and it's once you make that jump between not just guys down here, when you do see that 98, they have no clue where it's going, but then you get up to the majors, oh, it's 98 and it's paint. You can't replicate that. You've just got to get experience against it. And that's what guys, when they come back and say that's the biggest difference, is it's not just, maybe I'll see a starter once a week that's going to throw 97. No, it's every single guy every night.
Let's do the following. Let's talk in two parts. Let's talk about the trading deadline, so Tim can give us his perspective, and then we can focus. I have a number of slides on our minor league system, looking at the top 30 prospects, and give us. I mean, both you and Jeff have looked at a lot of these prospects, and would love to get your thoughts on them. So, bottom line here, our hitting requires needs significant help in the second half, and some of the players that are in the major leagues right now need to step up so we can take this to the next level. Here's kind of where we are after the first half with our hitting. Only 3 hitters hitting above the OPS line as expected: Schwarber, Harper, and Turner. Castellanos and Sosa are kind of around the OPS average in MLB, and then even Alec Bohm in the last couple of weeks, which he was not hitting really well in the last week and a half or so, fell below the average on MLB on OPS, and everybody is below. So whomever is in red needs to step up, and whomever is in yellow needs to start getting to the green in order for us to be able to have a successful second half on our way to the playoffs and hopefully the World Series. Tim, here's a number of names. Adolis Garcia, Taylor Ward, Luis Robert Jr., Harrison Bader, Lane Thomas, Miguel Andújar, Ramon Laureano with Baltimore, and Brenton Doyle with Colorado. And we know what you always tell me: Colorado never trades. I know, I know that. But look, to me, Adolis Garcia is a game changer. The guy was the MVP of the World Series when Texas went there. He's a game changer. I do believe that Taylor Ward could help significantly. And what I like the name Luis Roberts there, it's not so much what he's done over the last 2 years, but I think the potential in getting him out of Chicago, that could be a very appetizing. Those 3 guys could be those 3 guys can change the needle, in my opinion, for the Phillies in the second half of the year.
If Luis Robert is trying to get traded, he's not doing a good job.
Well, no, he's not. I think he's someone that could benefit from a change of scenery. And last year when people talked about Luis Robert Jr., it was this situation where you were going to have to give up a ton of prospects. It's not the same situation this year. He's a rental, not playing well. So maybe you take a flyer on him. Of course, there's going to be a bunch of teams that have that same idea. So Luis Robert's interesting. Adolis Garcia has not had good offensive seasons back-to-back years now, although he's been tremendous in the outfield this year, which would help the Phillies. And I do think there's a chance, like, you get him to another spot. The Rangers as an offense have underperformed this year. Maybe you get him to a different team and he finds it again. He's certainly a major power threat when he's going well. Taylor Ward, we saw it over the weekend, was tremendous. He's not a superstar, but he's a solid, above average to maybe he could make an all-star team type guy. So I think he was someone that made sense last year. He would make sense this year because he's still not a rental. You'd have him for this year and next year. And I would add in one name that I forgot to tell Oscar to put on here, Taylor Ward's teammate, Joe Adell, who, if you're looking for a guy that he would cost more, obviously, because he's got 3 arbitration years left. If you're looking for a guy that right now is productive, but if you look up in 3 years, maybe he's a superstar, Joe Adell would have that type of talent. Whether he achieves it or not, I don't know. A lot of his career to this point, he's kind of been underwhelming, but he's having a nice season this year, and you get him to a better organization, and I wonder if they could maybe unlock things a little more. To me, he's more of a corner outfielder. The Angels are playing him in center field. I think he's a better left or right fielder, but he's probably
sounds like Brandon Marsh to me.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think Brandon Marsh is a better center fielder, to be honest with you, but he's an interesting name as well. But I mean, you look at this list; it's not that inspiring in a lot of cases. Even like two of the guys we just talked about as potential really good options, Garcia and Robert, have each had back-to-back down offensive years.
Look, they're both Cuban. Trust me. I know how this magic works, guys. They're both Cubans. You put those guys in that outfield, and magical's going to start to happen. Adolis Garcia, to be honest with you, he's one of my favorite players in baseball. The way he plays the game, that guy plays with passion. I mean, he loves to run after the ball. He's an outstanding outfielder. And look, what he did in the World Series, the MVP, that dude can bring it. And look, in the last 2-3 weeks before the start of the before the All-Star break, he was, hitting a home run every single day.
Well, the big thing here is who of these teams is actually going to sell? Because John Middleton mentioned this Friday. People talk about, the Phillies should trade for this player. Well, they're not necessarily available. Texas doesn't want to sell. They were a team that had World Series aspirations coming into the year. Can they get it going? We'll see. Obviously, the White Sox are going to sell. The White Sox are terrible. But the Angels are around 500 right now. I don't think they're like a for-real team. But what we saw over this weekend, they can hit. So do they maybe, as a team that's trying to get out of this cycle of losing 90-plus games every year, do they maybe hold on to guys rather than trade them? Specifically Adele, if they think he can really be a long-term piece for them, maybe they hold on to him. So the Twins with Harrison Bader, who's like a journeyman but would definitely be an upgrade over what the Phillies have right now, do they make trades? A lot of these guys are on teams that are kind of 50-50 right now.
And I really, also the other guy here, more in the lower kind of tier, Ramon Laureano. I love the way that guy plays baseball. Now, he plays all out, and he has an arm. Like very few in Major League Baseball. He's a really good player. I like him a lot as well.
The thing about Laureano is he's kind of a year-to-year guy. Like a year ago, he was not good for the Braves. Like 4 or 5 seasons ago, he had a great year with the A's. Mm-hmm. Then he got popped for PEDs and wasn't quite as good. He had a stint with Baltimore. Like he's kind of, you don't know what you're getting year to year, but this year has been a good year.
They play him. He bats, I think, like 5th most of the time, 5th, 6th on the Orioles lineup. He's a good ball player. So look, we'll see. I do believe we need to check some things up in order for us to win the World Series. If we want to win the World Series, we have to check some things up. If not, we'll continue. If you continue doing the same thing, expect different results, it's goal. You know the answer to that. So
yeah, 2011, the Phillies had the best rotation of the last 20 years, and they lost in the playoffs 1-0 in the clinching game because they didn't hit. So you need to find some guys that they need another batter, preferably a right-handed one. I don't think it necessarily has to be an outfielder, but that would be the best spot.
Yeah, Tim, and John Middleton gave you a really good answer the other night when you asked him about the balance of the prospects at the trade deadline. And remember, that team acquired Hunter Pence. They needed the bat in right field, and they got it, and they still got shut out.
Well, and one thing I would say from that answer John Middleton gave, it is clear that John Middleton is still scarred from the 2012 to 2021 run where you went 10 years without a playoff game. Stadium was empty some of those years. They do not want to be in a position where you go all in now, even if you win a World Series, and then you have 7 or 8 years on the back end where you suck. So they're trying to find that balance, and I think that's part of the reason why sometimes it's felt like over the last year they're like halfway in. And you're getting some of these guys that Sam talked about, like Crawford and Painter and Abel, are at AAA now, so they're close to making an impact for you. But you have a lot of these guys on the back half of their primes. And the Phillies, Dave Dombrowski started this line. John Middleton said it the other day about, well, it might be the end of the primes for some guys, but new guys will come. And that's true to a degree. But good luck getting Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler, and Kyle Schwarber in their primes on team-friendly contracts. That doesn't just happen all the time. I
remember what the Braves did when they won the World Series. They brought Peterson, they brought Soler, and what's the name of the other guy, the lefty?
Eddie Rosario.
Eddie Rosario. Look, they brought those 3 guys, and one was the MVP of the National League Championship Series, and the other one was the MVP of the All-Star Game. To me, a guy like Roberts, that you don't. he's not gonna. He has a $20 million. The White Sox want to get rid of him.
He's a rental.
Yeah, he's a rental, so you don't have to pay too much. You bring that guy in, and then maybe you bring somebody else that can push him along, like a Ramon Laureano, and he can be a platoon guy, and you start getting some of this. You have to change the ingredients to be able to get a better product out there.
The problem with what happened with the Braves, Alex Anthopoulos had like one of the greatest trade deadlines of all time that year, so it's hard to replicate. The bigger problem is the Braves that year didn't have to rebuild their entire bullpen in July, which the Phillies have to do like half of their bullpen. And that's what makes it complicated in terms of what you're talking about makes complete sense. Trade for multiple outfielders and kind of see what sticks. But the problem is, yeah, well, two's multiple last time I checked.
Yeah.
But you need to trade for multiple, at least one reliever. You just signed a reliever. So there's a lot of holes, and it comes back to the fact that you signed Max Kepler, that didn't work out. You signed Jordan Romano, that didn't work out. You traded for Carlos Estevez last year. He was okay, and you let him walk in free agency. You traded for Austin Hayes last year. It didn't work out because of health issues, and he non-tendered him. So some of the moves you've made over the last year plus have just been duds.
And I think the move of Robertson is a step in the right direction because he's saying it's not going to cost me. It's not going to cost me prospects, and I can reduce. I mean, that would have cost me prospects if I need to go get a Robertson out there. So he might be kind of the high leverage, not ninth inning guy that you get, and then you need to go get one guy that can potentially pitch the ninth inning. Let's talk about pitching right quick a little bit. So we were first in baseball in ERA. Our starting pitching in the 3 games that we pitched, we went from first to fourth. So now we went from 325, which were first in Major League Baseball. Now we are at 339. Our starting pitching, which is fourth in ERA, and then our relief pitching continues to be our Achilles heel at 433. Alvarado should get back to us by August the 19th. I've been seeing a lot of his social media. He's warming up and pitching again. So he's working out, which is a great sign to see that he's taking this very, very seriously. And look, he has an option next year that if he won that option to be picked, he better come as the all-star reliever that we need him to come at least until the end of the year. So, look, the story continues to be the same, right? We have a tremendous starting rotation, and we need to improve our bullpen. That's kind of the bottom line. Here, kind of where the numbers are. A lot of the newer guys are here. I mean, we see Roberts doing a nice job so far when he's given an opportunity. I mean, of course, Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez leading the pack. You see the Seth Johnson there with a nice ERA. You see Ranger there. That's after today's game. His ERA is at 2.66, which is amazing what he did in the first part of the year. Alvarado at 2.70, Kerr at 2.99, and 3.20 for Matt Strom. And then you see kind of the middle tier, and then kind of the bottom tier. Luzardo, look, it's work in progress with Luzardo. I mean, he needs to locate his pitches to be able to be effective, and when he doesn't locate them and he leaves them in the middle of the plate, the results are home runs.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues you have right now is you do have a great starting staff, and I think Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez will both finish in the top 5 in Cy Young voting at the end of the year. But then you have 2 guys in Luzardo and Ranger Suarez that there's serious durability questions. Luzardo last year, he's already blown past the amount of innings he pitched last year, and he's been hit or miss. And when he's missed, it's been bad. When he's hit, it's been really good. Ranger, obviously, last year had the trouble with injury in the second half. At a certain point, it matters that you're only throwing 90 miles an hour. Like, I get he's not a flamethrower, but there is a big difference between throwing 92, 93, or 90, 89. And you saw it today. He joked after the game that the only good pitch he made the entire game was the one that should have been strike 3 to Mike Trout, because all the other pitches were just not located well. And I asked him, like, how much do you feel that you need to prove you can stay durable for the whole season? And he kind of danced around it and didn't necessarily want to answer that question. But it's a real thing because we're so focused on who's going to go to the bullpen in the playoffs. You need that third starter to be as good as they've been so far.
And hopefully Nola can come back and come like the Aaron Nola with a fresh arm. I mean, that might help at the end of the year. We might be him being on the injured list might have given us a kind of a pat in the back and just move forward and have maybe our third starter there. We'll see. I mean, there's a long road ahead. I think how many more weeks? Like 17 more weeks, I think, or 16 more weeks after this week. I mean, it's a long way to go before the end of the season, but we have to play better baseball moving forward. Particularly our hitting. Our hitting needs to be more consistent than the way it has been so far. So here are the arms. I know there's big names that are going to cost significant amount of I was going to say dollars. In this case, they're going to be prospects.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. How about that? Yeah. Like Lasse and Durant and Bautista. I mean, those are, or Chapman. Chapman probably is not going to be traded because Boston is in the middle of the race right now. The same thing with Hainsley. But there are other guys that could be had. I mean, I wanted to get your thoughts, and part of the reason why I put the Cade Smith and the Griffin Jacks of this world, those two guys are like the number 2 guy in Cleveland and the number 2 guy in Minnesota. Those are big. In any other team, those guys will be closers.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I would rather have either one of those two than the big guy in there. I think Cade Smith has even better stuff than Clase. And the second, Cade Smith to me is Devin Williams after the Brewers traded Josh Hader. So that's kind of
Cade Smith.
Yeah, Cade Smith is a beat player. I think they'll trade him. Clase would be a huge pickup because not only is he one of the best closers in baseball, I know he got off to a slow start, but he's been pretty good since then. He's on a super team-friendly contract, so it'll cost you a lot. I think you're talking about giving up Aiden Miller most likely to get him. That would be huge. Duran is electric. I just worry with some of the guys that throw 100 about like your elbow or shoulder being a ticking time bomb, but that's the situation you're in.
Bautista has a new arm, man.
Right. So, but it sounds like the Orioles are hesitant to trade him, and Mike Elias is somebody that I don't know how much I want to trade with him because he's really good at evaluating young players. So
their draft was really good.
I think Griffin Jacks might be the best fit out of all of them, to be honest with you. I think he can absolutely handle closing. His numbers aren't as good this year in terms of back of the baseball card, but some of the more advanced numbers suggest he's been a little unlucky. And last year he was electric. Another guy, I think he has 2 years of control after this. So those are really the big ones. Helsley would be maybe the most ideal because he's a rental, so you wouldn't have to trade as much for him. It just depends if the Cardinals fall out of it.
Yeah, so I think the next week is going to be very telling in terms of who's in and who's out. And a lot of these guys like the Cardinals or the Tampa Bay Rays or the Baltimore is gone. I mean, Baltimore's gone. Minnesota is another good example, but they're playing – I mean, they played Pittsburgh, and now they're playing very bad teams. So
they lost to the Rockies. 2 out of 3 they lost.
To what? To the
Rockies. Yeah. So I think they're a team.
By the way, you know this? The Milwaukee Brewers swept the Dodgers all 6 games. They swept them. They swept them both in Milwaukee and in LA.
Brewers are playing really good baseball right now.
They're a really good team. I love how they play baseball, man. I love to have that level of contact they have with Chorrio or Turan. I mean, those guys are contact hitters. That's what we need. And by the way, that Joey, talking about the Joey Ortiz, they took it away from the general manager of the Orioles.
They did, yeah. The other guy that's interesting, while we're on the Cuban theme that Oscar brought up, Aroldis Chapman has come back and had an amazing season this year that I did not see coming. I don't think the Red Sox are going to sell. I think they're good enough. They were teetering on disaster like a month ago, but they're now past the Devers thing. Roman Anthony's starting to look like a superstar. And Aroldis Chapman has come back this season after kind of a pretty forgettable season last year with the Pirates. And it's just amazing that this guy is 37 years old, still throwing this hard. He's never really had a major injury. Like, he needs to be studied in that sense because whatever he's doing,
he's amazing.
Other pitchers need to do because he was really the first guy consistently throwing not just 100, but like 102 think he was up to 104 or 105 at certain points, and he's been healthy his whole career.
I know his coach, the guy that trains him during the offseason down in the Florida area, in the Miami area. His name is Valdez. He's amazing. He uses him as the perfect prototype example of a pitcher, the way he throws. I mean, as you said, is amazing. Just imagine Tim for a second. Sam, look at this. Jeff, we could have the dream team of the Cuban dream team in Philly. Look at that. Chapman, Garcia, and Robert.
Forget about them trying to tap in the Japanese market, Oscar. You might be onto something here.
Oh, man, we could have the Cuban dream team there in Philly. No, look, it's they'll bring kind of passion, and they bring a lot of things. And that Chapman guy, I mean, he's amazing. I mean, he's like a bionic arm, the way he has it. So we'll see what happens. You mentioned Jake Bird. That could be another potential arm that could come in.
We're thinking Bryce Harper right now.
Is that good for the clubhouse?
Hey, anything is possible.
Yeah, you're gonna have to mend some fences there, I guess, in that regard. But he's having a good year. So in the Rockies, it's from what different people have reported, like maybe are more willing to trade this year than they have in past years. Obviously, what they're doing isn't working. So maybe holding on to all these guys when they have trade value isn't the right strategy for them. So after that report from Matt Gelb a couple weeks ago, though, about the Phillies are more willing to discuss pretty much anybody other than Painter in the right conversation for one of these big controllable relievers. I'm looking at those top four. And I mean, if Bautista's traded, he fits there. But in those top four, and saying you almost feel like they have to come away with one of those guys. And I think there's the most likely ones would be Clase, Duran, and Jax, any of those three. I think it's pretty unlikely Cleveland trades Kate Smith.
Kittredge is another rental, but he's a really good pitcher as well. I mean, he could help in the back of the bullpen. He's a high quality arm that might not cost that much. He's a rental as well. Look, it's going to be very, very interesting. The Robertson move tells me they might make a move, but it's not going. They're trying to manage the expectations, and they're going to be managing very carefully the prospect, as Mr. Middleton said the other day, that they need to protect the future. So it'll be very, very interesting what they decide to do. If we come out with Kate Smith or Griffin Jacks, we'll go. I'll promise that I'll invite you to some beers, guys. we'll go celebrate.
We need, and if they get a Roldis Chapman or Luis Robert, we need to go to the Cuban restaurant on 2nd and Market.
Hey, how about that? Cuba Libre. Sorry, we're advertising here. We need to get some advertising from Cuba Libre.
One of the best restaurants in Philly. I'll give.
Oh yeah. I'll ask Chadman or Roberts to take us there as well.
Hey, we're getting all the advertising in tonight, boys.
Look at that. So, hey, just right quick, your 2 seconds, Tim, before you leave on the draft, and then we can talk about the minor league system. Just what was your overall impression of the draft? I mean, we get Gabe Woods, the guy. I mean, I love his competitiveness. I mean, he brings some tremendous value there in addition to his arm, his competitiveness.
Yeah, and I don't think, like, most likely he's not going to be in the picture for the Phillies this year, but who knows? Like, maybe he pitches really well, and they think he could be an option in the bullpen, kind of like how Orion Kerkering was a few years ago. More likely is he does what Kerkering did a couple years ago next season, where he moves up the system really quickly. But I thought it was anytime you're at 26 and you pick a guy that's like a household name that most people know, that it's interesting, at least.
That is struck out a World Series no-hitter, 19 strikeouts on only 8 balls that were able to hit per out. So there's some very interesting things there.
I just think it's interesting how many college pitchers the Phillies took this year. Last year, you saw them trade a couple young pitchers for Carlos Estevez, and I think college pitchers specifically rise a little bit quicker. So A, they could help you, but B, they could also be guys that become trade chips. So if you trade some guys this year, in a year from now, Gage Wood and Obermueller and Bowker kind of supplement them, and maybe they become trade chips, or maybe they move up the system and help you in the not so distant future. So I thought it was an interesting draft strategy overall, because under Brian Barber, the Phillies had been pretty reliant on high school players, at least in the first round, and they kind of bucked that trend this year.
14 pitchers, 4 shortstops, a catcher, and an outfielder. And we also signed about 6 different undrafted free agents that were added to that list, and I'll mention them as we start talking about the minor league system. So if you had to give a grade, what grade would you give the draft, Tim?
I'm not qualified to give a grade.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're grading MLB drafts now.
I'm not qualified.
Oh, come on.
Let me know in 5 years, and then I'll grade it.
In terms of, I give them an A+ for picking someone that got Phillies fans immediately excited.
I mean, we were in the middle of our program last week when Gabe Wood pop up, and I said, "Oh, this is the no-hitter guy."
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Hey, I'm the one who said he might be pitching in Philly at some point.
Unbelievable. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today, man. You're the best. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tim.
On Patterson, there's the man. There we go. So, Sam, your overall impressions on the draft?
Yeah, like you said, I'm excited about it. There's even an outside shot that Gage Wood pitches for the Pigs by the end of the season. Obviously, an electric arm. I'll be interested to see how the Phillies treat it, because if you look back the past couple of years, obviously the Phillies haven't taken all too many college arms out of the draft, but typically any pitcher that they do draft, they're very, very, very conservative the first year of the draft. That once Wood does sign, there's typically they don't have those guys throw. They'll sit out until the start of the next season. So if they really do think that Wood could help this year, it'll be pretty telling if they send him straight away to Clearwater to ramp him up. Cade Obermueller, our first baseman for the Pigs, Keaton Anthony, is a University of Iowa guy. The Phils actually did ask Anthony about Cade to get some, inside intel, and Keaton said that Cade's absolutely nasty. Really, really solid lefty. He's got some funk to him and great fastball. So he thinks it's good pick. And overall, I mean, getting that amount of arms.
Yeah, it was very cool. To me, there's two things that call my attention. Number one, 14 pitchers. And a lot of them college. So that what that means to me is that they want to move the timeline. We need to get, versus drafting guys in high school, we want to move at a pace quicker and try to bring them to the major league team and try to mitigate some of the significant costs that a lot of our free agents would cost. So it's very, very interesting, the approach I think that they took this year versus the previous years.
Yeah, and if you look just through the depth chart the past couple of years at the AA and AAA level, so many of our arms have been guys that were acquired from outside of the organization, especially the depth pieces. You look at the back end or the front end of the bullpen right now for the Phillies, Max Lazar, Daniel Robert, and Seth Johnson, all were guys that were not drafted by the Phillies. And I think the Phillies would like to change that to bring some more internal options and making that as quick as possible. Like you said, Oscar, is drafting college guys.
That's good. So we signed, Steve Porter, which is always extremely kind to our group here, send the 6 undrafted free agents, a 22-year-old second baseman, Tyler Portini, a 22-year-old outfielder, a 23-year-old right-handed pitcher, Keehan Batka from Davenport University, a 23-year-old also right-handed pitcher from Lamar University, a 23-year-old outfielder from Murray State University, and a 22-year-old catcher from Northwestern University. So interesting. Those were the undrafted free agents that we signed. So we'll be able to evaluate this class in 3 years, even though Tim didn't want to give a grade. I thought
I don't want to give a grade. That's unfair to any of these kids.
Come on.
Why do you have this NFL approach? Why do you got to draft? Why do you got to grade drafts?
I'll throw it out based on the value they got relative to where they were picking one. I think it's an above average draft that you feel good coming away from it. Obviously, time will tell if these guys turn out to be anything. But as far as where the Phils were picking and the guys that you got, getting some excitable stuff out of it for the moment feels good.
Yeah, Gage Wood was, I think, in the high teens, where he should have been picked, and we picked him 26. So interesting that he fall for us. Imagine the shoulder issue that he had during the year. He only had 40 innings this year because of the shoulder issue that he had, but he pitched really, really well down the stretch, including the no-hitter. So that's very, very interesting. So let me go back a couple of slides, and I think this was important for everyone, just to ground everybody. This is how scouts grade the team. Steve Porter always reminds me, a lot of the scouts might not see them every single day to be able to grade them correctly, but at least it's kind of a point of reference. So somebody that is rated 80 is elite, 70 is well above average, 60 is above average, 50 is average, and then you go 40, 30, and 20 would be poor. Here's where Mookie Betts are, Mike Trout are in terms of kind of the scale, how they would, and here is kind of, that's when you see the 70 on Gay Wood's fastball. I mean, in a scale of 80, that is a really, really high number that calls my attention. The same thing on the slider for Overmuller. And then with Bowker, the fastball at 60. I mean, those are some pretty, I mean, in the top 3 picks, I mean, for the Phillies, it's a really, really good value.
And that's why a lot of people think Wood will move pretty quickly through the system, no matter if he's a starter or reliever, is that kind of fastball that he has, both velo-wise, the spin rate on it, how well it plays with the induced vertical break. That's a pitch that you can't really teach, and that starting or relieving, he will be able to move with that pretty quickly. Like you said, Obermuller's slider, that's what makes him so funky from the left side. He spins it so unbelievably well. And that's what the Phillies have targeted, be it high school arms or college arms, is finding guys who have some unique outlier traits, and then you can work with it. And getting guys who have, one gradable pitch at 60 plus is typically what you're going to try to be seeking out.
And then this is the part that we need to significantly improve. The Phils are right now, based on MLB, we're ranked 17th in terms of farm system. One thing that caught my attention is where we've been. This is kind of a historical trend for MLB pipeline. If you see, the Phils were in 2015 and 16, we were ranked in the top 10. The same thing in 2016. So we were like a period from 2015 to 2018 where we were ranked in the top 10 in terms of talent. If we start looking at it, didn't turn out into anything meaningful. Again, everything, I have a saying that everything communicates. We have not been ranked over the last few years in the top 10. So, and you see the Orioles up here, ranked 6 years in a row as the top 6. They made the playoffs and they exited 4 games in the playoffs and four losses, and they've been out and they're not in the playoffs this year. So not necessarily having the best farm system equals tremendous success. But it's interesting. There are teams that I do think they've been very, very successful over the years, like the Tampa Bay Rays, and how they, in order for them to be able to survive, they need to have a strong farm system. The same thing with teams, with like the Twins and teams like that, Kansas City, kind of the middle markets. They are only able to survive by having a strong farm system. And you have to give it to the Dodgers. Historically, if you look at how many years the Dodgers have had a top 10 in here, it's pretty consistent the way they do it. And kudos to them and the way they draft and the way they develop their players.
The Dodgers still use Branch Rickey's system to determine their players. It is incredible how they do it.
Yep. So look, there are many ways of looking at our system. Looking out after everything that I've kind of studied and looked and talking to people like Steve and other people in our system, the way I look at it is we have a very, very strong top of the system with Painter, Miller, Crawford, Taid, Abel, and Escobar. Moises Chase has a tremendous potential. Unfortunately, I should have put him in red there. I didn't. He has Tommy Young right now. Everyone that is in red has been injured. Burkholder, he's in our rookie league or in the in the Florida, what is it called? Complex League?
Complex.
Yeah, in the Complex League.
I thought it was a Florida Coast League. I mean, they should do something a little nicer than that. He's in the Florida Coast League. He's being hampered by hamstrings throughout the year. But this is our talent. This is our top talent in our organization. And this is kind of where things are. I do believe we have a very, very strong top. We need to continue to grow the middle. And I think part of why we had the draft that we had is we wanted to have guys that are closer to the majors than the way we had before. So I remember Mattingly talking to me about Brian Rincon. I mean, it's a guy that is up and coming. Seth Johnson, we have it now in the big show. I mean, he has a very good fastball. I like his fastball and his curve. I mean, he has potential to stay with us. But I don't know. I wanted to get your thoughts. I put a couple additional slides where you have the grades in the scouting system. I would love your thoughts, Sam, starting with you, and then Jeff, what you've seen. What's your perspective in general about our minor league system?
Yeah, so Oscar, I think you hit the nail on the head pretty good here. Is obviously it's a pretty top-heavy system, which ultimately isn't the worst thing in the world for where the Phillies are. Trying to pursue a playoff spot and ultimately a World Series championship. You got guys who could either impact the team or potentially impact the trade market. The problem has kind of become now that it was easier to move some of those guys the past couple of years. Think way back to like Sixto Sanchez, where they were so far away from the majors that it didn't really hurt to give them up. Same thing with Starlin Caba this past offseason to go and get Jesus Luzardo. Now it's becoming hard to move the guys like Painter, Miller, Crawford, Abel, because they're right on the doorstep. And getting rid of them, guys who could impact you immediately is tough. But from what you see from the system, having as many top 100 guys as what the Phillies have right now is exactly where you want to be. Because, like I said, that's what's going to impact you either immediately at the major league level or what's going to help you, potentially land an impact through a trade. Obviously, we talked about Painter earlier with everything that's happened this year. Ultimately, I go back to them putting the timeline on things that kind of didn't, I don't want to say messed with things, but certainly put time constraints where I don't think it really needed to be necessary. Justin Crawford has done everything for me as far as checking boxes that he needs to do. And that, he's the player that he is now. And with time, he's been around so long, thanks to the draft, high school, his dad. We forget that he's still just 21, which is unbelievably young. And he's got a very long major league career ahead of him. The player that he is right now is not the one that he's going to be even 3 years from now. He'll still be just 24 at that point. And then Mick Abel has turned himself from a guy that everybody wanted to get rid of coming into the start of the year. Now nobody wants to trade him away. And to turn that around as quickly as he has been exceptional. And seeing the growth from Mick, the maturity level that all the coaches talk about with him has been wild. A guy further down the list, Gabriel Rincones Jr., I think is fascinating because he's coming up this offseason. This will be his Rule 5 year. Phillies will either need to add him to the 40-man roster or expose him to the Rule 5.
Who is that again?
Gabriel Rincones Jr.
Okay. Yeah, Rincon. Yeah. Big power hitter.
Yeah, he's got sensational power. Might be the most jacked individual I've ever seen in my life. The dude is ripped. Hits baseballs unbelievably far. It's not so much swing and miss as it is he commands the strike zone pretty well. He leads the Iron Pigs in walks right now. But it's getting to that power in game has been a bit of a problem. He's got 9 homers right now, which frankly is, for a guy of his power caliber, too low. And I think that they're still working to get him to the point where he needs to be with that. But he's a guy who's also a little bit behind the baseball curve, growing up in Scotland, and then injuries have hampered him throughout his professional career. So like you said, Oscar, the top half of this system's got some real interesting guys in it. And what we've seen with Lehigh Valley this season is some of those guys, Otto Kemp, everybody raved about him. He produced for us. He did his thing. And now back up at the major league level, which has been great. Same with Abel. And I think that a lot of these guys have put themselves in a position to help the Phillies here through trade or maybe, up at the major league level playing for the Phils.
Yeah. Jeff, your overall thoughts?
Yeah, this has always been my conundrum with this, right? For years, we've talked about Andrew Painter. When they drafted Nathan Miller, we saw the potential. Justin Crawford's always lived up to that potential. Well, these guys are here now. It's like what Sam said. They are on the doorstep to the major leagues. Like, I keep hearing outside of Painter, we're not sure if these guys are going to be studs, right? But I'm pretty sure Aiden Miller, when he's ready,
is going to be a big time player.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure.
In my mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure with Aiden Miller, when he's ready, he's going to contribute to this team in a big way. Justin Crawford's a major league player. He can contribute to this team. You don't need Bryce Harper's and Kyle Schwarbers with all these guys. You need guys to fill the gaps. And that's what they thought they were getting with Bryson Stott, with Brandon Marsh, with an Alec Bohm. They probably thought a little bit higher, but they're not doing it. Well, maybe Aiden Miller could be the guy to do it. That's why I'm so reluctant to trade him. Justin Crawford, same thing, because you need a center fielder right now. Like, these five, the top five on this list, and I don't even count Arun Escobar in this because I think he's going to be a good player. They're the guys I'm so reluctant to part ways with just because of how they can help this team now and in the future. And I hate to say it because I love Mick Abel and I love the story. Man, it is a happy accident that he's finally being Mick Abel.
Yeah, no, it's certainly come at a perfect time. And, for me, what it comes down to is in a perfect world, the Phillies would have enough of a runway here where you could give Crawford and Miller and Painter and Abel more leash at the major league level to go and show that they can be those guys. But the Phillies got to win games. Got to win games now. You got to win games in October. And allowing young guys, young players to iron through some of those issues on the fly in those scenarios is really, really, really hard. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. We saw with Orion Kerkering getting thrown into the fire in the NLCS a couple of years ago. But you could say the same thing. Impact in the World Series that year for the Rangers was Evan Carter, who had played a grand total of like 20 major league games. For each failure, there's a huge success. It's basically the Phillies' tolerance for what would you rather look back at this year, a year from now, would you look back at this season and say, at least we traded for the guy, like in last year's case, at least we traded for Estevez, even if he failed in the moment when we needed to, we did everything we could? Or would you have said, man, I wish we would have thrown the prospect in the fire, have them fail, but maybe we can have them for the future? That's what it comes down to.
Sam, I have a question for you, and I know this is everybody's favorite guy, and he's not a prospect, but Garrett Stubbs.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you and I talked about this before. It doesn't feel like when Andrew Painter finally does come up, like it could be a package deal with him.
I don't. It would be interesting, certainly, especially now with Painter. His timeline, if it ends up being closer to September, I've always assumed once September 1 hits, Stubbs will be back in the majors as one of the two extra guys going up. You almost always carry an extra catcher. So, I'm not sure if Painter goes up earlier, that would necessarily be the case. I think to this point, after the first couple of starts, Stubbs has not been catching Painter exclusively anymore. But Stubbs has been a great resource, not just for Painter and Mick, but for all of our pitchers. His game planning is second to none. That is something that's really just, I had heard about it, but to see it in person, he has binder, he's got his paperwork, he's got pen in hand, he goes through it all, and he's meticulous about it. And it's been really good to see not just how he handles it, but for the rest of the pitching staff, that once they go up to the majors, they know, hey, I'm getting the same treatment up there that I am down here.
By the way, other names that Steve Porter mentioned as talent that might not be here in the top 30, Avery Owusu Asiuli is a great sleeper, as well as Francisco Loreto. And then that he could be a great hitter. And then the other one is in the Florida Complex League, there's three pitchers, Pacheco, Marquez, and Liranzo, that appear to be that could have potential, and Felix Reyes could be can hit big league pitching with the right. He could have the right opportunity. So I mean, those are guys that we could see down the road. Again, I think part of the reason why we're hearing a lot of kind of hesitation around trading a lot of this top talent is because of what we have behind. There is talent, but might not be as major league ready. For example, Everson Castellano, I was hoping for him to kind of take a step forward. He was taken in the I think Minnesota. The Twins took him on the whatever
Rule 5 pick.
Rule 5 pick. They returned him after he didn't make the Major League Baseball, but I was expecting him to make the jump. Unfortunately, he got hurt in the beginning of the year and has been hurt ever since. I mean, I was hoping for him to take a big jump. Gene Cabrera is a good pitcher. The question is he going to be a great pitcher? That's a big question. He was
his command's been pretty good too this year.
Yeah, the question is, I mean, is bulk. I mean, he's not a bulk guy, and I mean striking out the mounds of they were calling him Venezuela Gene K. Cabrera. I mean, the guy can really strike out people. But I mean, the question is, can he take the jump? I mean, those are. I think Brian Rincon could have a future going up in the ladder, as well as Dante Nori. Dante Nori is a guy that we had him like 2 straight weeks in a row. He was the minor league hitter of the week, and 2 weeks he was kind of honorable mention. So I'm glad to see him going up. And then the other question, I do believe that there's a report out there that Taik got promoted. So
yes,
yeah, he did.
Yeah, to Jersey Shore. So congratulations to Taik. I mean, look, he's the future as long as he remains with us. That's why I think they're more open to the idea of trading the Taiks and the Escobars of this world, because they're so far behind Major League Baseball already, and some of the other guys are closer, like the Crawfords and the Adam Miller. I wouldn't trade I would need to be they would need to break my arm to trade Adam Miller, to be honest with you. I do believe I see 3 tiers. I see the tier of Painter, untradeable. I see the tier of Adam Miller. You have to break my arm to be able to trade Adam Miller. It has to be something that is unbelievable and can get us to the World Series tomorrow. Or then there's what I would call the tier 3, which is kind of the Taids or the Escobars of this world and below. That is something that I would be open to the idea, because they're so far away from the major leagues.
Everybody always alludes to, Dombrowski going scorched earth a lot with prospects and being more than willing to part with some really good talent. I'm curious in that it's been a couple of years since he's truly done that. He's shown remarkable restraints since taking over as president here with the Phillies, of not completely just emptying the cupboard here with the Phillies. Obviously 2022, he was very aggressive in going and making a lot of moves, but you could say he didn't go ahead and trade Painter or Abel at that time. So who's to say? Maybe not that he's more reluctant than ever to do that, but it'd be curious that it's been a couple of years since he has.
Yeah. And we want to talk about the win now mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, John Milton, I don't think he wanted to reveal this, but he ended up doing it because I asked about Painter, and he goes, well, you got to think about it in October here, and Andrew Painter and Mick Abel could contribute to this bullpen. You could always fill that stuff internally, and all of a sudden the light bulbs go up. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, you could do that because you're only going to need 3 starters in a division series, and we talked about
this is my biggest concern. What I'm going to show you right now. Oops, doesn't want to add to the stage on top of it, right?
Oscar, you have to keep this backdrop, by the way, just because the clock is in that backdrop. Well, we're not going to get the clock anymore.
This is my biggest concern. This team is not winning the World Series unless some of this red become yellow and some of the yellow become green.
Right. That's where you got to add, but you got to be creative in how you're adding it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Look, like maybe a guy like Roberts that might not cost you hardly much might be the right move. With maybe or somebody like Laureano or somebody like that might not cost you an arm and a leg, that is a rental for a year. Then they got to see us of this world. That would be a lot more manageable. And then here you go more kind of with your tier 2 guys versus your tier 1s. I mean, you're going to have to be creative without breaking the bank. And look, it's going to be very, very interesting what's going to happen in the next in the next few months. I mean, or it's the next few weeks and months. I mean, it's now in the next 10 days. Let's put it just that way. I mean, today is July 10th. We're 11 days from the trading deadline, and we might be doing a special that day, right, Jeff? we might be doing kind of a special how we're going to make it to the World Series after they trade.
Oh, man. After David Dombrowski talk. By the way, I feel bad for our buddy Jake Starr, who's supposed to join us tonight. Reading started late, and they're in the 11th inning right now.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I got Steve sent me a message during the 11th inning. Look at that.
Dylan Campbell just did a 2-run home run in the 11th to tie it. So.
Oh my God.
I was worried about that for myself. Our game got pushed back about 45 minutes, and we were at 135 first pitch. I'm like, oh man, Jake's not going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, our game got started at 2:15 today, and I mean that's why I was a little late. Like, it's crazy.
I'm in Florida today because I've been spending this week with the family and on vacation, and I'm heading tomorrow first thing in the morning because I got to do the Red Sox Phillies game. So I'll be there in Philly for time for the game. So that's it's been fun, guys. Sam, really a real pleasure to have you here with us. I mean, you're always welcome. This is your house. Phillies Weekly is your house, brother. Thank you for everything you do for the Phils and the Iron Pigs. And look, you need to do the magic so they can come up.
Yeah, is there any way Keaton Anthony is like ready to come up yet?
Hey, I'll try my best. Keaton's been great. He's been a good offensive piece for us. Dude just hits line drives, man. That's all he does.
That's what they need.
Machine. It's a machine, and he picks it at first. It's good. But this was fun. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Jeff, for inviting me to do this. This is a blast. Anytime I get to talk more baseball, I only get to do it 3 hours a day already. So you're getting a little bit more time to spout off about.
Get a kick out of this. So Jeff sends me your phone number so I can send you a message. So I sent a message.
It was the wrong Sam. I'm friends with a lot of Sams.
It was the wrong Sam, the one he gave me. My God, Jeff, come on, dude.
I already got hammed by the other Sam because they
you got
giving me other random people's numbers.
Who is this?
Who in the world is this guy? What is going on here? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
He's trying to sell me car insurance.
It's unbelievable. Guys, thank you so much. I mean, looking forward. So next week, we're going to have another very, very special show with some wonderful guests, surprise guests, as Jeff tell me, and looking forward to it. Hey, it was not the best of weeks for the Phils, but at the beginning of the second half, we're still in first place, believe it or not, ahead of the New York Mets. So as long as that happens, we have a great week. Guys, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks,
we'll see
Sam.
you soon, guys. Thank you
Thanks,
for being
guys.
with us.
Lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Stott, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara, Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber bomb, ¡campanazo! Aquí viene el lanzamiento. Swing. Y